Sunday fun day. Sunday fun days are always weird when you're doing them by yourself. Which apparently is today, because no one else there's a playoff game or something? Who watches football? I don't know anybody that watches football. Let's go for my weekly test to make sure we're streaming. So complicated. Life is hard. Are we streaming? Yes, we are. Alright, cool. And there's a comment. Oh, wow. Ugh. Christina, hi. And Tim, hi. So it's Sunday Fun Day. We're waiting on people to come in. Who are we waiting on? Cole. And we also invited Johnny Windex, which is going to be interesting if he actually comes in. Is my audio synced? Let me check.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think they can. Pretty sure they can. That's fine. It says in my system that they can hear you.
Okay. No, I'm just lucky that, we all got it at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We didn't have to, chase it, so.
Yeah.
But.
That sucks. So now whatever variant you have, it'll be less likely you'll get it the next time. That's probably
Hopefully.
Omicron. Especially if you guys aren't
Yeah,
sick.
I think so, because, I think so.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I mean, it's like half the world has that right now, so that's all right.
Yes. Half the world has it right now. Basically.
So
what are y'all talking about tonight?
there was no topic. I invited me and Brett were going to talk about the topic of conversation was why friends suck in relation to The Secret, but he had to work tonight, so we're going to hold off on that one. So probably next week or something. It was a good conversation though. And then I invited a bunch of people, but apparently it's a playoff game tonight and everybody was like, I got to watch the football.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I invited Jason Olsen. I wanted to talk to him about some of his back of the book stuff. But he was the one that was like, it's the Steelers are playing and I can't get away. And then Cole had to work. It was nobody was available today.
Yeah.
Natalie Kroll says
So
the
what do you
game
want to talk
just
about?
ended. I don't know. It's up to you. What's on your mind in relation? Have you seen any cool posts lately?
So I've been neck deep in Adrian and Lisa's puzzle.
The letters of Saint Germain.
The Rhapsody in Gray.
Oh, okay.
Whew. Yeah. But so I haven't really been, reading too many posts on the main groups.
So what's up with the Rhapsody in Gray puzzle? Because I haven't really looked into it. I don't have time.
So it's super challenging. So what they did was they broke down all the boroughs of New York, and they basically made a puzzle with 4 verses for each borough, and they released them. Once one's finished, they released the next one. I think we're on 5 right now,
Yeah.
and I think I've only gotten 1 so far, but and there's 3 more. So
Are they just
pretty
tricky?
hard.
I'm guessing, yeah.
It's tricky. So I guess I've asked them. He said that they made that this particular one is 5, which is Manhattan, which is one they made actually pretty challenging. So I'm not feeling too bad about it, but yeah, it's pretty hard.
A lot of people have been making puzzles like that recently, and they all either seem to be super tricky or really, really easy. Cole made one that was really hard and took a long time, and then he made a second one and somebody solved it in 20 minutes.
So Cole's, I'm gonna be honest, Cole's was super hard, and because I worked on that one, and even once the location was announced, I still was yeah, I would have never gotten this. Because I was in a totally different, how you kind of get in a mindset where you kind of get where an angle you kind of take, and I was all it's in the southern Midwest I don't know. I was in the total wrong area for probably. I didn't start like focusing on Canada until like probably 2 days before it was solved. But even once they announced where it was like a park in, I forget where it was like out more like on the west coast of Canada.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I never got this.
Yeah, when I looked at his puzzle, the first thing I was like, everybody's going to look in America because everybody's American except Cole, who is in Canada and has never been to America, I don't think. I was like, we should 100% look in Canada. And then I was like, I don't have time. But it looked
Even
fun.
when I was looking in Canada, like I was like, I am not getting anywhere with this. But you know, I guess it's y'all were talking about this the other day, where you get like these biases in your head, like where we were talking about this on the trip, right? Like
Yeah.
where you get these like preconceived like things in your mind, and you kind of it takes you in a direction, and you kind of can't see anything else outside of that. And I think that's exactly what happened to me, because it was, I was so sure it was like in the desert in like Arizona and some area out that way, and I just never could break out of that pattern, like that mentality,
Yeah.
or definitely didn't break out of it in time to
That's
solve it.
that's 100% the topic of the why friends suck talk with me and Brett.
Why?
Because, well, like when you get a bunch of friends together, especially treasure hunters, they tend to just tell you they want to be supportive, and they tend to tell you what you want to hear, right? So all your ideas are great with your friends. It's like they're
Yeah.
not really. So you get like challenged less. And I've noticed like on the groups recently, like people don't necessarily like to be challenged when it's kind of a good thing to be challenged.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why friends suck.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I never have to worry about that with you. You're always going to tell me my idea stuff.
Yeah, well, so like my default answer for everybody's like, that's wrong. It's that, and that's the bad thing about me, right? Like I need to be
Or
more
you just
supportive
don't
of people.
respond to it. Or you just
Yeah,
don't.
there's
Or
a
you're
lot
just
of
like,
that. Well, I get
just like,
so much. Like I gotta
thumbs
pick
up.
and choose. Like today, I got an email. It was the funniest email I'd ever gotten. It was the tagline was, or the subject was, I found it in Milwaukee. My name is, and he gave his name and his phone number, and that was the subject of the email. And I looked, and there was an attachment, and I was like, oh shit! Like this dude found Milwaukee, and he just emailed it to me. And I opened the attachment, and it is a picture of a cask, but it's the Chicago cask. I'm like, dude, what the? I just responded like, you found the Chicago cask in Milwaukee. I don't know. That's what I deal with, and it's you got to pick and choose sometimes. But I do
Yeah.
need to work on being more supportive.
Well, I mean, I think that you're supportive, but I feel like there's a difference in like being supportive and being right,
Yeah,
like, or wrong. You're either, you can be supportive and just say, I support you, but am I supporting you? I don't agree with you.
yeah, but people get mad at that.
People do
Like,
get mad.
there's a weird warm middle that you got to find that I just haven't found. I don't
Yeah.
know. It'd be more like Sunday. That's great. Maybe try
Sunday's
this.
like the ultimate diplomat,
Yeah, she really is.
but
So anyway,
so, I was reading about when I was like looking up stuff about, like, I've been going back to the World Book a lot, like ever since that was posted and stuff.
yeah,
And since we just got back from Charleston, I'll just say this, like it's kind of crazy. Like I was looking at all the cities like that have been, like, I guess, what do you call it? Like the generally accepted cities.
yeah,
And um especially like going back to the ones that have been found, like like Chicago, Cleveland, and Boston. And all of the generally accepted cities um, have like significant like entries in the World Book, like, and basically mentions pretty much like at least one landmark that most people generally agree on is part of the puzzle, right? Charleston, though, it doesn't like the Charleston entry in the World Book is like 3 paragraphs.
really?
Yeah,
I
it's
never looked it
crazy.
up.
Yeah, I looked it up the other day, and I was talking to Cole about it. I was like, it bugs me because when you go to the Charleston entry in the World Book, because I have 70, I don't know which ones you have. I have
I have like
79
81.
and 80.
Yeah.
79 and 80 I have. The the entry for Charleston is like half of one column on one page, and then you flip it over and it's like two columns. Whereas like Roanoke has like it's like several pages, right? And it's got like a picture of the theater and the Wright Brothers Memorial, and then Chinatown for San Francisco, and Boston is obviously several pages long, and Cleveland even mentions Cleveland Cultural Gardens, and Chicago, is several pages long, mentions Grant Park and all that. Charleston is just like a blip. It's
That's
kind of
odd.
crazy.
There's a
Hmm.
lot of history in Charleston. Like a
I
whole lot of
know,
history.
right? I know.
I'm gonna have to go
Um,
back and read that.
yeah. So I don't know. It was kind of interesting because it was like it doesn't even talk. It doesn't mention like slavery really. I would have to go back and like don't quote me on that, but like I didn't really see much like it. I didn't really see much like on it being like a port of entry for slavery. If I'm not mistaken, but what really sticks out in my mind is that there was just nothing there,
Huh.
hardly.
I'll have to go back and look.
So, yeah,
Because it
it's kind
was
of cool.
weird. Like you were showing me some of the stuff in the World Book, and it's basically everything that we know to be true, in at least in the paintings, has been in the World Book, right? Those
Right,
the entries for the cities, which was really interesting.
right, and even like the San Francisco section, even like crazy, but like of all the things it could talk about, right? It even talks about the Ghirardelli. Um,
Yeah,
you know what
that
I'm
was
saying?
odd.
Like
Yeah,
that's so odd. Like if it could talk about anything and it talks about Chinatown and Ghirardelli and um for Boston, it doesn't talk about I'm gonna murder this pronunciation. It doesn't talk about Buffalo or Langon, but
Pupilo. Yeah,
it does.
it
There's
does talk about the North End.
yeah, it's significant. There's a significant amount of talk about the North End. Um,
Did you say that the
you,
Cleveland verse talked about the cultural gardens?
yeah,
Like all of the gardens, or the Greek cultural garden? Like it talked about the
it
stretch of
talks about
parks?
it talks
Gotcha.
about the cultural gardens. It doesn't specifically mention the Greek cultural gardens, but like Houston talks about Melville in that section. There was always something. There was always a mention of some part of something, right?
Yeah.
So, like North End for Boston in the Boston section, the theater in the Wright Brothers Memorial for Roanoke. I mean, New York's kind of like wide open, as far as like we don't. But I mean, is
Tim wants to
Houston?
know what year you have. You said you had 80, right? I have 81. You said you have a 1980 year
I
World
think
Book.
I have 80 and 79, but I'm gonna go check.
I really got
Uh,
to get these entries.
so one of them
Actually,
is like a
let me
good.
grab my Charleston one real quick because I
Yeah,
can,
you
it's just
go
right
grab it
there.
because
Let me
mine's
grab
in
it.
the other room.
Hang on one second.
Okay.
I had to grab two because I don't know how alphabets work. That was fun. Troy was like, yes, grab your world books. Let everyone open your textbooks to page 7. Churchill Downs. That's weird. China. I like how Chicago's got a big picture of the Mercantile Exchange where Rob worked.
I'm not really like um I don't really know how to like share my screen with you,
I don't know if
but
I've.
I can like send it to you if you want to look at it because we can talk about this after. Um,
Oh, one
if
participant
you
at a
want to,
time.
and you can decide.
Okay. I just set you up for screen sharing. If you want to do it, it's really up to you. However
Um,
you want to do it.
I don't even know. I might just send it to you because
Charleston. You're right. Wow. Mine, it's like, yeah, it's like one
super
full
short,
page.
huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Charleston, South Carolina, isn't even a full column. It's like half of a column on one
Yeah,
page, half a column on the next, and then it's Charleston, West Virginia.
yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Just makes you wonder, huh?
Huh. It's got the big ass White House in front of White Point Gardens on it, though.
Yeah.
Like a really big picture. That's the only picture for Charleston. Is that
Mm-hmm.
big White House next to White Point Gardens? That one.
Yep.
Well, it's there somewhere. Yeah. That's it.
That's it.
Wow. Cultural activities, nothing. Industry, nothing. It talks about Magnolia Gardens. Where's that? Do you know where Magnolia Gardens is in Charleston?
I do not.
I don't either.
I do not. But I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I guess if you're like die-hard White Point Garden, I mean that would really only be the only place that if unless you were going to venture out into like the you know what was it? I'm drawing a blank. It's called COVID brain. The by Fort Moultrie or whatever. Sullivan's
Oh,
Island
Sullivan's
or
Island. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But I mean,
But it doesn't.
people
It's
just
weird that it doesn't talk about that. It doesn't talk about the Citadel. It doesn't talk
so.
about anything.
Oh, I thought it did it not? Yeah, no, it
Well,
didn't.
it might not have. It might have because
It
I
may have
just
mentioned
skimmed.
the Citadel.
I didn't want to like
It
read
may
it
have
while
mentioned
you're.
the Citadel, but um, there's a separate entry. Like you have to look up
Yeah.
for like Moultrie on its own,
So
like in
it's got
its
a
own
separate entry
section.
for Fort
Hmm.
Sumter.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have a separate entry for the Citadel. It doesn't look like.
Then maybe I'm thinking of something different, but
Wow.
I just noticed that, observed it. Might mean
Charlestown.
nothing. Might mean something.
I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's like out of all of the cities, I would expect Charleston to have a really big entry there.
Right? I mean, I was kind of like, I thought maybe like, okay, am I missing? Am I looking this up wrong? Like, but then yeah, that's it. It's
Tim
kind of odd.
said Tim said we should try the South Carolina entry. That
Well,
might have
yeah.
a
So like, I definitely looked up both like for the ones that I did check like the state and then the more specific area. So like Chicago and then you know like for Cleveland or like for like just let's just take Milwaukee for example. Like if you look up the state and then you look up the the city or whatever, then you can find like some things on both.
right.
I'm not probably not saying that correctly, but um I was just saying like that the Charleston specifically the Charleston entry was a lot smaller than I would have thought it was going to be compared to the other ones, compared to Houston, compared to Chicago, compared to
Yeah.
um, Roanoke Island. Um, I don't
Huh.
know, maybe nothing.
I'm kind of wondering, like, if there's because nobody really drills down into these world books kind of the way they should, you know, and I'm kind of
Hmm.
wondering if there's a way. And this may come out retarded. I'm told I'm not supposed to say that
Notice
word anymore.
everything I say sounds.
This may come out stupid. But if there's a way, so like if you look at the paintings, they tend to drill down, right? They drill down from state to a city to a park, and I'm wondering if there's a way to do that with information from the World Book, like the information in the state section of the World Book would be represented in the painting somehow, and that those entries would lead you to sub entries for the cities, which would be have something in the painting or reference the
Right.
painting in somehow. You see what I'm saying? Because
Right. So like, do you
the
have
city
the
entries definitely do.
yeah, do you have like the reference guide that goes with the set?
I don't think so.
So I have that. I have the dictionaries and the reference guide. So like you can look up like a topic and it'll tell you every place that that's mentioned like
Oh,
in the whole set. Like so I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but like um if you look up
like if you look up
what
communism, it tells you every entry
yeah, like it'll
communism
tell you
project.
like
Yeah.
which, okay, you can find it in M under this subtitle and then, every time it's like a big index, I guess is the better, like an index, but like across the whole set.
Yeah.
Um, so I found that pretty helpful. And so like, and I guess like if you don't think of like the right term, right? Like, so when I was originally looking up, I'm just gonna give you an example. I was originally looking up um, turquoise, right? And then I kind of was like, okay, well, let me try birthstone. And then if you go under um, the reference guide, it'll tell you like, okay, everywhere that turquoise is mentioned, every section or every like, so it would be under gems, it would be under birthstone, it would be under, you know,
Yeah.
December or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of like helps you like to where you're not like so focused on one word. Which that was another interesting thing was the gemstones. Like if you look under the gems um section in the World Book, the illustrations of the individual gems are pretty like spot on. I mean,
Yeah.
like they're pretty reflective of what you see in
In
the
the painting.
picture,
Yeah. Yeah. I
in the
think
paintings.
you showed me that, and there was only like one that
Yeah.
was different.
The
I
only one
think
that's different is really, and this is, I mean, like we've talked about this, like is the amethyst, is the
yeah,
fact that the amethyst
it's
is
purple.
really blue in the painting. And me and Brody were talking about this, and I talked about it with Cole too, is that, yeah, we know that there can be like different types of amethyst, but like everybody generally knows amethyst as being purple. So, is it a printing issue? Is it like, on purpose? Is it something we're just not seeing? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either. I mean, I always assumed it was a printer thing. Just because, like, if you print it purple, you run the risk of printing it too dark and it looks black. But I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know the answer.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't really know the answer.
I really wish more people would dig into these encyclopedias, though, because like you were talking about the index. That's a research like skill that we don't have anymore. Like I didn't even know that
Yeah.
existed. But
The research
kid
guide?
kids in the '80s would 100% know that. You know.
Yeah. What?
Hmm.
I'm gonna go grab mine because
Okay.
I'm gonna look up and see if I can find anything else about Charleston in a second.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just gonna talk to this couch here. Hi, couch. I have a couch like you. It's back there. Brown
Sorry, I'm in a
leather.
hurry.
Mine's a Barca lounger from the '70s. I found it at an estate sale. It's an old person's chair. Tim says he'd try, but his 71's likely not as helpful. Like, encyclopedias didn't change that much over the years, so you would be surprised. Maybe JJP did not have that colored paint. That's true. Maybe he didn't.
So mine is. Let me tell you what year it is. This is the 79. So like, I'm gonna just look up.
Yeah, mine's 1980, not 81. Cool.
Just look up Charleston real quick. So like I'm always looking for like different ways to like if anyone has any ideas of how to like, a way to approach it in these books, I would love to. I like what I've learned is that like I'm really bad with the alphabet. Like I'm
Yeah,
always like in
I'm the
my
same
head,
way.
like
I am the same way.
I always have to think about it so hard.
So somebody like going along with like old research tools. Somebody sent me around a bunch of like old Rand McNally maps from different cities from like the 70s. This one's not from the
Right?
70s, but it's like it's so interesting how little information is on a map compared to like Google Earth.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. And I mean,
like
honestly, like I found these books like so almost like cathartic in a way because, like when you try to search for things on the internet these days, it's like
you're
you have
just
to sift
bombarded.
through so much extra stuff now because,
Yeah.
you know, you get like 8,000 entries for like you look up Charleston, it's like cheap flights to Charleston.
Or you end up falling down a rabbit hole that you really couldn't fall down in 1981.
Right.
Right? Like if you knew nothing about Charleston, if you were some kid in San Francisco and in 1981 and you wanted to learn about Charleston, you had to do it here in this encyclopedia or, research from
Right.
other Charleston books that wouldn't lead you down the rabbit holes that you could easily fall down now with the internet.
Right. So I just looked up Charleston just to for an example, and then like it has like it tells you to look under C295, which would be the Charleston entry in the World Book, like the plain one. And then but it also says that there's mention of it in colonial life in America under CI. So that would be like the CI book. And then SO, I don't really know what that's gonna probably
South,
just
South
South
Carolina.
512, 520. So, this is I probably didn't look at these. Um, Probably just the South Carolina entry is probably where the most is mentioned, but it doesn't have anything about slavery in here. But I do think that there's a whole complete section on slavery in um, the colonies or slavery in America that's its own separate section.
Huh. But it's not mentioned in the index. Under for like
Not,
Charleston's not
oh,
mentioned. Like
so
slavery's not
that's all
mentioned under
that,
Charleston.
no, not
That's
for me.
weird. That's
Yeah,
really weird. Huh.
I don't know.
Maybe like
I
whoever made the World Book just hated the city of Charleston.
I mean, I feel like on some level, like you had to do some sort of like pre-game research, ahead of time.
I don't
So,
disagree.
I mean, this would be like the best way to do that for, just to kind of get a general like, you know, good basic like picture or whatever. But then, and then like maybe for Boston, for example, like he went, out to Boston to the North End, knowing that he wanted to put it in the North End somewhere. Jeremy said cheers.
Cheers.
Said
How
cheers.
does he know I'm actually drinking right now?
He doesn't. You
Well, I
just know
am.
that you know that he is. So
Cheers.
he said, "How does he know I'm actually drinking right now?" Um, so, um, maybe he just went out to the North End knowing that's where he wanted to put it and
And then found a
came up
place.
with the final spot once he got there. Versus it being like some predetermined thing in his head already.
Yeah,
He just knew he wanted to go out to the North End.
right.
Um,
Because people always say like Byron was really smart. He knew so much about these cities, but he was smart, but he wasn't like a genius. He didn't have this encyclopedia of knowledge in his head. He had to get it from somewhere before he went to these cities.
yeah, I
You
mean, you
can't
can't just
just go in
like get on
blind.
Google. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't get on Google and research. I mean, you have the library basically.
yeah.
So, you know,
Hmm.
everything like ever since that whole this whole the World Book, I don't know what you want to put a title to it, Discovery or whatever came out. Um, I just feel like that's going to be the answer. Like it's going to be like you're going to have to like go back to this. You're going to have to go back to learning how to research away from the internet if you're gonna like figure out like get in the mindset, of
Yeah.
you're just gonna have to. Whether it's in the World Book specifically or not, it's gonna be in a book of
Yeah.
some sort for on some level.
Yeah. Troy Tossi says local library, local history. I don't know exactly what he means by that. I'm thinking what he means is like in order to solve these, you have to go to your local library, but even that doesn't really work now because
Yeah, because
libraries
I
are
mean they
so
get
different.
new books and whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't
I don't
know.
know. Yeah. But I do think, like, I agree with you. The next one that's solved isn't going to be solved by going through, like, some deep dive and some random local history. It's going to be solved with these, you know?
Yeah,
Simple information.
right, right.
So, yeah. Tim says the photo for Charleston is historical Charleston. Or the photo for South Carolina is historical Charleston? I'm guessing he means in World Book. That's pretty cool.
Jeremy, can you get me the C World Book? I
No,
mean
he's saying
the South
S.
Carolina, the S
Yeah.
in the closet, the World Book, the S, please.
If I didn't know Jeremy, I would bet he would. But I would bet he would be irritated with this. Like, why am I going to get my
No,
wife an encyclopedia? And
you should have. Well, I wanted to say you should have seen
yeah,
him.
I've
He
met him.
did. He
He
did. Whenever I got these, he was like, "Why do we have two sets of encyclopedias from like?" He just said I didn't have to ask why. I knew why. And he's like, "But why do we have two of them? Two sets?"
Caroline says South Carolina in the World Book is 23 pages long. Nice.
Oh, well, yeah, that might make explain it.
Someone named Davy Roberts, who I don't know, says it's such a lie that JJP, Ben, Joellen, and the others didn't help or knew anything as if they cared about a 1K gem and then signed a contract. Not sure I know what that means. I'm assuming he's saying it's a lie that they don't know where these are buried, but like you can know how a puzzle works and not know where it's buried. I could tell you how a puzzle works and tells you there's a treasure buried in my front yard and you'll never find it because my front yard's big and the treasure's small.
Wait, what did he say?
He said it was a lie that Ben and Joellen and John didn't know basically how
Oh,
the puzzle works. I think that's
yeah.
what he was trying to
So,
say.
so the South Carolina is really expensive. So, maybe it's gonna be in there.
I remember
But
reading the New Orleans entry in the World Book and just thinking like New Orleans in the 70s was weird, but I still really want to go. Like it's
yeah,
just it's so weird to just travel back in time through these books and see what the
well,
places were like
yeah,
and
and like places, especially like places that were that you can go freely now were like were could be considered like really bad parts of town then, or vice versa.
yeah.
Like um I'm just gonna off the top of my head, like Duncan Plaza. Like as far as I'm aware, like Duncan Plaza was considered like it was not, like really a bad part area, or like I don't say bad. That's a bad word. Shh, we don't talk about her.
Is this the oyster lady?
Yeah.
Okay.
Monique. So there's places there's
Oh my
places
god.
that were considered bad parts or bad areas where you really wouldn't go at night. Duncan Plaza is kind of like a iffy area now, whereas I don't think it was then.
Yeah.
Um,
And then places like Grant Park in Chicago, that was an iffy area then, and it's still kind of an iffy area now.
really?
Yeah. I mean, that's where like oh god, that protest, the Chicago 5 or Chicago 7, like the hippies in the 70s were just beaten to a pulp by the police and arrested. That was in Grant Park. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was in Grant Park.
Yeah, well, I guess Chicago
Yeah, it
is
is.
kind of
Mm.
harsh. Um, I don't, I don't know. I'm trying to think of it like, well, and like City Park's a good example of that too. Like where like City Park now is like everybody wants to go there, bring their family, and not saying that they didn't then, but like it was a lot more run down than it is
Yeah.
than it is now. Um,
Parks in
so
general are like that. They just like back in the day we just didn't care about parks.
yeah, I don't think we did.
Like if you had a baseball field, if your kids were playing little league, one of the fathers was cutting that field because the city's not going to do it. That kind of stuff, you
Right,
know.
right,
I don't know.
right. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to send you that. Remember we talked about those things I found in that book. Those two
I mean,
images.
I have rum brain right now. I kind of
We
remember
talk
what
about
you
that all. We talk about.
talked.
So I was reading a book on the airplane actually on the way to Charleston, and it was called. Let me see the name of it. 12 Tribe Nations, Sacred Number, and the Golden Age. And probably the reason
Oh yeah.
that I even opened this book was because of Leanne's um, theory on the 12 tribes of Israel, the stuff she's put out on that, the work she's done on that.
Yeah.
Um, so the book isn't really about specifically the 12 tribes of Israel, but it's basically, to sum it up, is talks about um, like different um, groups that incorporate the number 12, and like the way that like like there's the 12 apostles, and then there's the 12 tribes of Israel, and then like for example the 12 gods of North's mythology. And so one thing that I found in it, which I think a lot of people have drawn the connection between the San Francisco image and Mount Sinai, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like I've seen that, like pretty much, like people have, said it looks like that.
Yeah. I've heard
But,
that.
um, and there's an image of Mount Sinai in the book, but it specifically talks about the dragon and the pearl being between two heads. To get
There, I just
the next one.
threw the picture up in front of you, so now everybody can see the
Oh,
picture you're talking about.
these things all fit me. Um, find the page. Okay, so it talks about the mountain dragon and the pearl between the heads of the dragon, and this is specifically talking about Mount Sinai and Jerusalem. But then, so what I did was I googled that. I hate to say I googled it, but I did Google it, and there's like a old like Chinese like um story about the dragon and the pearl or something, and it's like a Chinese folklore. But then in that same book, there's also the image of Odin's dwelling, which looks a lot like the the
Chicago.
castle on top of, yeah, the
Yeah,
Chicago
I'll throw that up
image,
there too.
down to almost like the little gate where the door is. But I mean, it's just similarities that you can look, people find in different things.
Yeah.
Rabbit holes, like you say.
Someone is asking what the name of the book is, so I'll throw that because you sent me the cover, so there it is. 12 Nation
Yeah.
Tribes, Sacred Number, and the Golden Age, which wasn't published in the 80s, but all the information was there in the 80s. So,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Yeah,
like
like
that. When you showed me that Castle Hat comparison, I was like, oh, wow, that's
yeah, it's
crazy.
crazy, huh? Well, and I mean, cause you figure like I know like I try to do that. Like I try to like I know that like he didn't, that maybe like the characters don't have something specifically to do with the culture or the
Let's try to make Ashley face as she unfreezes.
And I guess that's what I'm always like trying to figure out or look for is like where like the because I think Kit it might have been Kit that said it at one point was you know you need to not look so much at what the image has in it and more about what it means or like what
Yeah.
the symbolism of it is. So like what's the symbolism of it? What's why did he choose, you know,
So much fun. You if you yeah, okay, you're back. Cool.
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, but no,
If I
it's a really good point though. Like everybody always dives into what Byron knew, right? And what Byron could figure out. But people ignore the fact that John Palancar is a trained artist. He like when he loves art. He knows symbolism. He knows especially the symbolism in surrealistic paintings, and nobody ever goes down that rabbit hole, right? Like you look at Dali paintings, and you notice that Dali paintings have spoons in them, and those spoons sometimes have a P in them. And in Dali paintings, that means something. If I'm not mistaken, it means youth. It's like innocence. But nobody ever takes that and applies it to John's paintings, when they should. Like I think they
yeah, I
gain
mean
more insight into it if they did.
I'm not an artist, so I don't I'm kind of like I'm like actually super literal. So it's actually really challenging for me to, you know, say, well, okay, a castle isn't a castle or, you know, a clock isn't a clock. So, you know, it's something that like I always try to like step out of my comfort zone a little bit because I am quite literal in that
Yeah.
aspect. Um, but you know, like it's so interesting to me like how like a really creative person's mind works like that and how you know okay if I have to like if I'm tasked with you know taking a immigration group or a story or something that has to do with like a place and like turning it into some sort of like fantasy um centered like painting or illustration, how would you do that? You know, and you know that's why he's good at what he does, right?
Yeah.
Because his brain can do that. Like, so you know, you have to take the person who's not and try to like go down that path and like try to make your brain go down that path, or like try to at least aim to try to understand why he did what he did or why he chose the things he chose to put in each one. Um, and obviously, the only person who's going to be able to do that
Well, I mean, we've got
is
some
him, but
we got lucky, and John may have forgotten about how creative we are, but he released those two sketches for Chicago, right? So
mhm.
we've got those. So we have an illustration across three different designs for one painting about how he wants to get a point across. Hang on.
Mhm.
Ah, that hurt my head. Like tearing my art off the walls to talk about this. So like we have like this one, the first one. Let me get Joanne's address off there. So like in the first one, there's like a very prominent windmill, right? Right here.
Yeah.
There's a very prominent windsock somewhere. There's a boat sail here. I forget where the windsock is. Here.
I always found that like pretty interesting. The part at the bottom, the it looks like a collar, almost like
Oh
like
yeah,
is
and
that the same?
no,
Like almost like a
it's different
jester.
here, but even here it extends past the borders of the painting, which it
But it's
does in
kind
the
of
book too.
like the collar you would see like on a jester or like a court jester almost. Is
Yeah,
it? Am I wrong in saying that? Which
it looks like a
isn't in the
scarf to me.
like the
Oh, the one in the sketches, that is
yeah in the
100% a court
sketches
jester. Yeah.
that's not there in the main
Yeah, and I
image.
don't. In the second one, I don't. He doesn't have a collar. But in the
Yeah.
second one, he's got a windsock here. He's got a flag, another windsock here, and then in the final painting, he's got a windmill. So it's obvious in those three drawings that wind is important, and just so happens to be like Chicago's the windy city, right? It's stuff like that I'm talking about getting into, trying to figure out how to tell a story with a painting.
Right. So like if you take like what do you think about like New Orleans, for example, and like the clock? You think it's just a dolly thing?
Well,
like
no,
a
I'm 100% in agreement with you and most people, where the New Orleans painting is just sort of, what's the word, an amalgamation of multiple nursery rhymes. Like
yeah.
that's just it to me.
Yeah.
Like Cinderella, Clock Striking Midnight, like everything, Cal Jumps Over the Moon, all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, Little Red Riding Hood, Grandmother's Hand. That's all I see in that painting. Now that you guys, once you guys started talking about it, that's all I've been able to see in that painting is nursery rhymes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I hope that I had this like I talked to Brody about it the other day, and I was like, I told him we need to like just start going because we've kind of like we've gone to City Park and been in Storyland like so many times. I told him I'm like we need to go some other places like and really like dig into them, and just so we know that we're not like hyper focusing on a place like that we think it is, because this is where like we keep coming back to. Like, okay, we're gonna go to Audubon and just rule out Audubon. We're gonna go to, I know he wants to go to Pontchartrain Beach and to that area, and I told him, I said I like a lot of things about Pontchartrain Beach. The only thing that really keeps me away from that area is the fact that it's not in the 2990 latitude longitude.
Yeah.
It's 2930.
But you should like take that with a grain of salt, because how is he going to know the latitude and longitude? He's going to look up, like in an encyclopedia, he's going to look it up. So he's going to assume
Exactly what Brody said.
anything in that major metropolitan
close
area.
enough.
Yeah, it's close enough.
And that kind of, I think that's why like we compliment each other well whenever we work, is because I'm super like literal, and he kind of a little more he can think a little bit more abstractly than me. But
Caroline's getting beat down in the comments.
Why?
Because she said,
I wish I could read these.
She said, so is he representing the Red Sox with the Wind Sox for Chicago? It's Boston Red Sox, it's Chicago White Sox. And those two teams hate each other. So now she's... the sock didn't have a color, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So there was a video, I haven't watched it, but I know you mentioned it, there was a video on the North Carolina group.
Yeah.
That was good.
It was really good. So it was these kids like in 2000, I think, just took a video camera up to Fort Raleigh and made like a little, I don't even think it was a student film. It was just like a fun project or whatever. And one of the community members that originally found it contacted the kid who uploaded it and got him to upload his raw footage. So it's basically just these kids wandering around Fort Raleigh for like 15, 20 minutes, I think. But they hit all of the major spots. They hit the Watergate, they hit the fort, they hit the theater, they hit the trail end, the overlook area. They film the parking lot. Like they film everything.
Wow.
So yeah, it's in the Roanoke group. I don't know where else it's been posted, but it was really good. I'll have to, actually, I can probably go find it and put it in the comments now that you said it. Roanoke.
I have a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, so the only crappy thing about that video was the kids, like we've been looking for a really long time to see what a couple of signs look like, what a couple of the signs said as soon as you walk into the overlook. And they were like, they walked up to these signs and they were like, oh, these signs are super interesting, and then walked right past them.
Well,
didn't
I'm
show
sure
you
it probably
anything.
wasn't very interesting to them.
Probably not. Let's see. All right, I'll post it in the comments here.
Well, weren't you telling me too about like the police on the island, they basically like know that the only reason you're there is to be up to no good or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
the Overlook especially, and the Overlook in the theater got hit really hard a few years ago with diggers, especially during shutdown, the government shutdown that happened. It got hit
mhm.
really hard. And as far as I know, they put in like a bunch of infrared cameras in the trees at the Overlook and around the theater, and like they're prosecuting people. And in fact, I don't want to say it, but I'm pretty sure that a couple of them are trolling the Facebook pages because one time a dude posted Holy Doug on the beach, and like a ranger showed up at his house and fined
Shut
him.
up.
Yeah, it was crazy. And he posted, like, after he got fined, he posted on Facebook and he was like, a ranger just showed up at my, and this was like, it was, he wasn't even in the state of, like, he was a visitor to North Carolina, and he had posted like, I was on vacation or whatever and I dug this hole, and a ranger from his state went to his house and fined him, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But he posted, he was like, a ranger just visited my house and fined me for digging in the park. And everybody was like, that's not true. You're a liar. You just want people to stay away from your spot. And it ended up being 100% true.
Hey,
So yeah, they don't play.
take their job seriously.
I know, right? I mean, they got a lot to
I think
protect.
that's kind of like the mentality like most people have, is that they don't take it serious, like they're not like they care but they don't, like they tell you not to, but they don't care about it enough that they would actually prosecute you for it. But
Roanoke probably would, yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, New
Like,
Orleans, I mean, I would never tell anyone to do it in New Orleans, but I mean, people can't even get the police to come. Like, I have friends that literally, not a couple weeks ago, were out in the city and they had their window shattered on their vehicle, and they actually had a firearm stolen out of it, and we're trying to get in touch with the police to make a police report. And they called, the police number, and they basically told them that they weren't going to come because they didn't have enough.
yeah, I think
And
it
like
was,
stopped a cop and asked them. They're like, "Look, I just had a weapon stolen out of my vehicle. I need to make a report." And they were like, "Sorry,
yeah.
we don't have time."
Some cities
So
are different. Like San Francisco, they asked the head of the parks department once why he was so cool about people digging and like whether or not they would prosecute people for digging. And I think he said like San Francisco's a big city with a lot of problems and a couple of holes in the grass isn't one of them. Where they were just like, we don't care. Just but yeah, New
yeah, they won't
Orleans.
tell you. Yeah, I mean, they won't say it. They're actually like, I think if they would be a little bit more responsive to like because I know I've seen people post that they um post like emails and stuff, that they write the parks department for permission, and they just send this blanket like response to everybody. Sorry, no digging allowed. And they don't even, I think if they would like be a little bit more responsive to that, like maybe
I don't know. You got
with
to think about it on like a government level. Like imagine you're the chief of a fire station and every day you come in and four people have messaged you about how there's a treasure buried in your front yard and they just want to dig it up,
yeah,
and like,
yeah.
it gets a little annoying. I feel like if people were a little calmer when they wrote their emails, number one, and if they were a little more respective of the parks, this wouldn't be as much of an issue as it is.
Yeah, I mean, people, we get excited. People get excited, and they are certain that they know exactly where it is. And, you know,
Somebody named Aldar Book asked, "Do you think they would arrest you just off of Roanoke?" The national, in national, oh god, National Park Service is a very specific area. Don't dig in that area. That's all I can say. Like whether I don't know anything else, just don't dig there. But yeah, because like in New Orleans, before Expedition Unknown, we didn't have a problem digging, right? And then even shortly after, there was one person that was digging with permission in Storyland, and he didn't have a
hmm
problem. It was
no.
when people started just like coming up with just random weird ideas, beating the hell out of the parks. That's when it stopped.
Well, and I mean, I haven't tried to, get permission since, but like Storyland was, or City Park was vandalized, like in the, within the
And they
last
like,
like couple years.
and they
So
like tear up the rum brain
no, I can't even like
carousel
talk tonight.
at the carousel. Yeah, they
Yeah,
tore up the
yeah.
carousel. I love
So I
Sunday
don't,
Funday.
you know, they may give people trouble now just because of that.
Yeah,
You know, I kind of have the mentality of like, I think that I wish they would rather, I would hope that they would rather you do go with you and do it to make sure that you don't damage anything than to just like, because I find like people are going to do one or two things. Like they're going to do it without permission, um, and then leave, you know, damage, or, you know, they're going to, you know, if they can't get permission, I feel like people are going to find a way no matter what on some
yeah.
level. There's always going to be those people.
I think well,
So,
and because of that, if those people were to go in with respect to the parks, were they to get caught, I doubt they would get in as much trouble, right? Like
right.
if you're going to dig up a park and you don't have permission, and when you get there you lay out a tarp, you put all of your dirt on the tarp, you cut a soil plug. If somebody catches you, they can tell when they walk up you're gonna put this back the way it was when you found it, as opposed to just like, I just made a pile of dirt over here and I'm gonna push it all back in. You know what I'm saying? Like it.
Yeah.
I feel like they wouldn't care as much. Though I don't know. Respect for parks. That's all. Have respect
Well,
for
and then like
parks.
a lot of this, like these more developed areas, you know, they have like a lot of like underground um, conduit and electrical and
Yeah.
sprinkler systems and, you know, whatever. I know we do here. I can't speak for everywhere else, but I mean, you could really probably do some damage if you weren't didn't know
You
what you were
can.
doing, and you know, hurt yourself or at least, you know, damage some
So
sensitive.
John Fraser, the owner of the Fountain of Youth. If you ever go to the Fountain of Youth and you ask him about this, he'll show it to you. One day they got a call that like the area just before you go into the Fountain of Youth, there's this big, it's called William Street, and there's this big planter box with a sign on it that's got plants in it, and inside that planter box are sprinklers. And one day he got a call that they were flooding the street, basically, that water was seeping out of this planter and flooding the street. So he went down, and his maintenance guys shut off all the water and dug it out, and they found a piece of pipe about that big that had like 14 probe holes in it, just straight through. And he likes to keep it and show people who ask about digging, like, this is what you do when you dig illegally. It cost him an insane amount of money to fix. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I mean, I
But
know
yeah,
like when I know
you never
that's the
know.
case in Lafayette Square for sure. There's a lot of when after Katrina and they had to redo all those planners, you know, there's lighting that they put in and sprinkler stuff, and you can see it. It's very visible. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you can see that it was put there. Like, you can't tell where all the lines are run or where all the wiring is, but you know, I could see how that would damage um stuff.
James
Um
Watson says call before you digs in every state, but that's not reliable either, because that only affects like public utilities. If you're out in a like a park and the park installed its own sprinkler system, call before you dig's not going to be able to tell you where that is. Or if a
yeah.
park ran its own power line to a power pole or whatever, they can't tell you where that is. Anything
Yeah.
private, they have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So
now I'm super nervous because I pulled these paintings off the wall and now they're just sitting on the floor,
go
and I
put them
got
back up.
Joelle. Yeah, I'll do it later. Just don't want to like spill my rum all over them. That would be bad. John calls one day. How are those drawings? Were they a little wet? Smell bad.
So have you seen anybody post any good you know, I guess new thoughts on after the nudge was posted?
Um, I've tried to not read them because I've been trying to like formulate my own ideas, so I didn't want to be
Mhm.
influenced, but
Mhm.
I'm at a loss, like a complete loss when it comes to it. I really
Yeah.
I really just think they're trying to tell you to look at the paintings different, but I don't know. I know that post has got like 600 comments or something on it now. It's crazy. Um, I like how people are working together, working through it. But
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just as, I don't say just as confused, but like whenever the questions that they posted, you know, that they proposed, like, why is one side different than the other? My literalness was like, I didn't think that armor was symmetrical.
I mean, it
Um,
is to a point, isn't it?
so
More
I was
symmetrical than
under the
that.
impression, and I mean, I'm not an armor expert, but I was under the impression that one side was different based on the like handedness of the person. Like a right-handed person had different um, stuff on the shoulder and whatnot because of like the hand carrying the weapon had to move more freely than the other side, and like one
Yeah.
side had like more protection on a shoulder or something. But like I said, I'm not an expert, so I mean, I don't know. The only thing that I really the only thing that I really even like looked at differently, like, not that I looked at it differently, but I'm looking at it with a different like questions in my head, is like on the left side of the medieval, um I guess he calls it the medieval scarecrow, like the dots on like the arm, or like one is more towards there's like two dots out to the
Yeah, that's always been weird to me.
edge, and then one, and then it's not the same on the other side. That's literally like the only other thing.
That's
And then
always
like,
been weird to
why
me.
is
It's
there a
like,
plus and a minus?
yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I have
I
no
didn't have
idea
any
when it comes to this.
I didn't have any good input after that nudge. But
Which sucks, right? If you want like an official hint or whatever for the secret, you want it to be a little better than that, more direct than that, maybe.
I'm sure whoever wrote it probably,
They're
it's
probably like, you
probably
guys
going to
are
be exactly,
idiots.
yeah, and it's probably exactly like, now that we know where Boston is, and we know, you know, it all makes sense, right? Like, it's like duh.
Yeah.
But then, you know, and I'm sure once we figure out where this is, it'll be crystal clear, right? After we know exactly where it is. It just doesn't, because
Yeah.
we don't know what it means, because we don't know where it's at.
I'm sure that's
But
exactly how it will be.
and we'll
And
all be like,
all of them
duh.
will be like,
Mhm. Yeah, but I don't know. So you have any other good things to talk about?
um,
Wait, I can't.
I don't know. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah, I can hear you
Yes,
now.
yes, you can hear me because I can see my thing. I don't know. I might cut it short. I was
Yeah,
hoping Cole would come on. Cole said that he was getting off at like about this time, but I don't know. Maybe just cut it
we
short.
can play Oregon Trail. I'm kidding.
You play Cards Against Humanity again.
Right. That was fun.
Simon Balden really wants to come on and talk to us. Like he's posted like 6 times. Should we let
Well,
Simon
tell him to
in?
come on.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
let's
let
Simon
Simon
in.
in. I'll just post the link. Can I do that? Can I just post the link? Nope. Shit. Give me 1 second. Like he's commented so many times. He was like, "Let me come in. Let me come in."
Where's
Okay.
Caroline? She's not gonna come in?
Caroline, apparently, I don't know. It's not here.
Caroline.
I'll just post the Zoom link. That whoever can join, I don't care.
Yeah. We're
There
running
you
out
go.
of things to talk about.
We are. We talk about why friends suck.
So you
That's
have
gonna
to
be a
tell them
really good talk.
about the Oregon Trail thing, about how we were talking about
Oh
how
my
old
god.
we were, and how it was the only video game. It was like the literally the first video game that I ever played. And then we go to this bar. What bar was that? I'm
Uh,
probably was
it was like a rooftop bar above the Hyatt in Charleston.
Yeah. And we find this game called the Oregon Trail board game that we tried to figure out how to play it
Nobody
for
knew
like
how to
an
play it.
hour and could not figure it out.
We made our own
So
rules.
then we
It's
just
fine.
then we just defaulted to Cards Against Humanity.
It's Simon. What's up, Simon?
Hi, Simon.
He
Hello,
wants to
hang on.
give us
I've got two audio channels, so let me just mute one.
Okay.
Okay, I've got one. Okay, so I can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, right. Here is my image 3 nudge drop, which I will give to you folks. Have you got image 3 there for people who want to see? Or
I'm sure
people know in their minds what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, so right. Oh, she's gone.
That's all right. She's probably listening. She's got AirPods in.
I'm listening.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, so as we view the picture, yeah, left is the hand that's like that, yeah.
Okay.
And the right hand is the one with the watch, yeah. So we're viewing it left and right. Okay, so the left hand, right, yeah, I think represents a sort of measurement, because if you look at the way it is, I can't do it, but the two fingers there, the thumb and the whatever finger, is they're kind of parallel, so it's kind of doing like I'm measuring a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So a distance measurement. On the right hand, right, yeah, it's holding a watch, so it's a time measurement. So with latitude, you measure the distance, and longitude you measure with time. See, longitude, latitude, they are opposites on the thing.
Okay.
Now here's the kicker. Yeah, the left hand, yeah, as we see it, the measurement one, yeah, has got the plus symbol. The right hand, the watch, has got the minus symbol, will be on its side.
Yeah.
Whenever you look for somewhere in North America, the latitude is positive and the longitude is negative. So the clue I think the gift giver kind of gives is, hey, there's latitude and longitude in the puzzle, which is 18 years too late.
They
but
100%,
it's a nice safe.
They 100% knew we knew that. So I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a great thing for the gift giver to give, because it doesn't advance the puzzle that much. There's other stuff that might advance it. I've got some notions, but I'm not going to say about them. But I think that is a thing of the the latitude and longitude is in the puzzle, folks, encoded into image 3, a general clue, and that was my take on it. What do you think? I can't see the messaging and stuff. I don't know what people think. Ashley, what do you think?
I mean, to your point, I mean, I could not like incorporating the fact that, like George said, I'm sure they knew that we knew the latitude, longitude. But maybe they just mean to look more on like each side and basically like, I don't know, one side has like certain details of geography and the other side has, I don't know.
To do with time.
Rob Caragiulia. Oh, Rob says, I'm kind of let down, Simon. That could have been posted.
Yeah, but the thing is, I can't do the thing.
Yeah,
I can't do the thing, and you know what I mean. And I don't want to write that all down. I don't want to type.
Yeah, that's a lot to type. Earlier, we were talking about how I want to try to be more supportive. Putting that comment aside, I actually really like that. That was a good idea. It was a good
I mean, I don't have
observation.
I thought that took me a day after I got it. I was kind of mulling it over my head, and that sort of came. There's another thing that I figured out that I'm not going to say, but I had a answer.
That's not fair.
No. Well, I had an answer that was kind of crummy. It was like kind of like I guess it could be that, but I think the gift giver gave me an inkling that maybe that improved it to that's actually, I now have a different answer for that, and it's good. So that's the gift giver did give a thing to me. However, I'm kind of like, I get kind of anxious when we get hints from the people, because it gives away stuff, and I kind of don't want it to. But I do benefit from it.
I didn't see.
It's like it's not grateful, but there you go. It's like oh no, I hope they didn't learn too much. But yeah, I thought I'd mention the thing, because the thread was huge, and I didn't want to keep going back there to look at it and stuff. But I thought if I do it with like 30 odd people on the thing, and it goes out in a nice thing, it won't get lost in the churn. That's all.
Eventually I'll get out. Yeah. It's a creative way of looking at it. I don't know. Like, I really wish I could figure out what the point of that post was without asking, like, what the answer to, like, the post is obviously written in a riddle. It's trying to point you towards something. I would like to know what the point of that was without knowing the answer. Like, why all of the sudden are we given that?
I think it's. I think there's a. We got answers and stuff at regular intervals, like regular yearly intervals. Yeah. So we had, like, at the Boston one, there was like a reveal of the painting, and they went, this is the, you know, the home plate, and blah 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 blah. And then about a year ago, we had some stuff. Did we had like an interview or something? Wasn't he on one
I
of the
interviewed
one of the?
John, but all he said was the
No, there
cities
was
are
no one.
correct.
Wasn't there one before that? There was sort of like a video. It might have been the Expedition Unknown or something. Maybe that was the same time.
John Michaels did a Christmas stream with JJP.
That's it. Yeah. So it was like a
Yeah.
yearly thing. Yeah. There's a thing, and so this year there's not really anything, but it's the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
I will say this. I think that the clue, that the reason why the gift giver gave it about this thing is it is the most difficult, problematic part of the puzzle in terms of it unfolding that way. Yeah, because people go, you know, the gem values, the hardest puzzle logically might be Charleston, because it's the diamond, and diamond's generally viewed to be the most expensive gem, or was, or whatever. I know the argument about what size the gems are and stuff like that, but there's an argument that, you know, the expensive gems are more harder puzzles and stuff, as they thought at the time. But it may have unfolded that image 3 is causing people the most trouble. So this is like a pity gift.
I would say that New York is causing people the most trouble, but
Yeah.
as is my opinion.
And I mean, like, why that example? Like, why the whirling dervish?
Dervishes?
You know? Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
Like,
it
why
doesn't.
that? You know, that's like really specific.
Unless it's completely unrelated to the hint, and it was just like, literally, I was watching a movie and it reminded me of this.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, he's talked about like the one, you know, one hand giving and one receiving. One, you know, the left, or I don't remember which one is
Yeah.
the right, you know. Which I did not know that about what you just said about the measurement and the time thing. I didn't know that, so that I learned something. But
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know
you
if
go
that.
to Google. You go to Google Maps and you type in the location. It will say, when you click the location, look in the address bar, and you can see the little latitude, longitude number, and it's always, you know, the number, and then it's negative somewhere.
Yeah.
There's an old film type doc. It's like one of those drama-based not documentaries, drama-based historical things. And it's called Longitude, and they had like special clocks a clock that was like suspended from a thing on the ship, and it was like on a thing, and then they eventually got down to sort of like watch type technology. There's like a special rare watch that's like an antique
Like,
sort
are
of
you
thing.
talking about like an astrolabe or something? Like, is that what it's called?
No, well, there was a suspended clock that was like the sort of the early prototype thing where they were to measure longitude, yeah, and then the technology got better to the point where there was like as a watch. There's actually a comedy series called Only Fools and Horses, where an antique watch, which is like this rare watch that's worth millions, sort of like emerges and stuff, and that's why. Oh yeah, you know, the watch. So that reminded me of the longitude watch. That's where I got it from, folks. That's where I'm inspired. As for the dervish thing, John is an artist, and a lot of his stuff is about evocation. You see a thing, you kind of imagine it slightly differently or whatever, and then you might, you know. So he sees this thing, and maybe he goes, "Oh, that's kind of like the thing," or maybe that was an idea at the start. But I have not come across any sort of Turkish dervish type thing to this part of the puzzle at all.
I mean, you're assuming this was John here. That's
yeah,
a pretty big
know.
assumption.
I don't know. I do know he knows stuff. I do know he knows stuff. I do think he knows stuff. I mean, to be honest, the baseball link with Image 11, I did not know as much, and that opened up some avenues for me to to go, oh right, okay, and work out some stuff.
Yeah.
But that's in the future. You know.
I'll say this, and it might be because of rum brain, but John, number one, doesn't like, for all the people that are assuming it's John, number one, he does not like the internet. He absolutely hates Facebook. He will not, like, he doesn't have a Facebook account. I don't know. I would seriously reconsider it being John.
I don't know.
Or like then, John by proxy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, I would seriously reconsider your thought that Palancar has anything to do with this.
I think he has told me stuff. He has told me stuff. I do think they know where. I mean, like, he knows where the cities are, or conurbations, whatever. He must know. He must know. He must know which things.
What has he told you, Simon?
I've got some stuff I know that the artist would have to know something, and it's like, it's a high probability that he knows about where the general locations of where things are, because he's had photos of the places and stuff, and he's also had like 40 years to street view his way around places that he suspects and stuff, and go, oh.
Chris Googly says JJP answered a question on Facebook today. There are two people that control that John Palancar account, and that's me and Kit. There's a high likelihood that one of us answered that question for John today. Just so you know.
Don't bust everybody's.
I'm sorry. He doesn't. He's like a Luddite, man. He hates technology.
Dream bubbles.
And I think it's because of The Secret. He is so scared of, like, not scared. He is so aware of tracking. Like, he hates being tracked. He hates, like, he doesn't have a smartphone. Like, who doesn't have a smartphone?
People that don't want to be tracked.
So, yeah.
Does he have a flip phone?
No, he's got like a candy bar phone. It's weird.
There is a certain section of people who want to live like it's the 90s, and there's a positive element to that. Not being
sure
online
John
all the
wants
time.
to live like it's the 1890s.
I mean, you don't think it's more like, like his, like the digital, like, age kind of, like, I'm just going to say digital art, like, I feel like he would be a person that, is real, like, pen and paper, brush and paint kind of person. Like, digital just spoils it, ruins it.
He doesn't get down with digital. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't blame him, really. He seems like an analog type of person. So
yeah, like an analog, yeah.
Luckley wants me to ask Simon if he has a yellow Reliant Robin, and then wants me to have him explain that to me, like I don't know what the most awesome car in the world is.
Okay, it's the car or the van off the television comedy series Only Fools and Horses, which ran from the 80s to the early 2000s, and was one of those landmark, like, everyone watched it. It had millions of viewers because it was actually very, very funny. It was
Reliant Robins are awesome. I want a Reliant Robin.
There's a three-wheeler.
So I can roll it down the hill.
It's a three-wheeler.
It's a three-wheel car, actually, and it's got one wheel on the front. So if you make like you take a turn too hard, it just rolls.
Because you can see my face that I have no idea what it is y'all are talking about.
They're funny. Like they're awesome cars.
Yeah, they've got in that series. It's the Trotters, and the company they've got is called Trotters Independent Trading, which the acronym is, well, there you go. That's the kind of the joke. One of the jokes. It's got some great zingers, that TV show. Yes. Yes. It's a weird divergence, but yes.
So what else you got to talk about, Simon?
Yeah.
Because you're on now.
I don't know. Sunday contacted me about sort of this weird group thing, of like the various groups and sort of like having people host groups and things. And she's approached me about maybe if I wanted to do that sort of thing. I said I had an interest in doing the back of the book group sort of thing where we discuss. Maybe I'm thinking 3
you don't
fair
want me
folk.
in that.
No, but you can be if you want to. I can, I got mute. I got power mute. So.
Me too. Check it out.
I will be a tyrant. I will be a tyrant.
So are you a back of the book guy?
Basically, it's the part of the book that I can talk about and feel like I'm not divulging. I'm currently compiling my answers and stuff. I'm a horrible procrastinator. But
Do you
when it comes
do
to
you,
the back of the book, I want to reread it, and I want to everyone else to reread it, but in a nice, slow, portioned amount, so they don't get sick of it, because it can be a bit too much, really, if you just tackle it by yourself.
do
It's
you
a bit
feel
lonely.
do you feel like it's a little unfair to come on a show where the whole point is to talk about our ideas and the secret, and just to be like, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not. It's not a dig. It's a genuine, curious question. Like you're just like, yeah, there's stuff. I'm just, I'm going to talk about my ideas.
Well, no, because the thing is with the secret, yeah, or the thing is with research, is that with a scientific, peer-reviewed research thing, yeah, or just analysis of a topic, yeah, you make your ideas, you publish it, and then the peer review comes along, and you get a multitude of experts attack it, basically, and see if it falls over. If it does, then the idea sucked, and that's fine.
Right.
That's how progress works. But if it does, now
So do you
the
just
thing
mean
is,
like you're not ready because you haven't done all your research yet?
well,
Is
the
that what
thing
you're
is, partly that way, partly I have over the last 2 3/4 years done research, obviously myself, like everyone else, and I've had various conclusions, right? Yeah, but these conclusions are always. Well, that was dramatic. These conclusions have always been these conclusions have always been right. Yeah, never set in stone. They've never been solid. Because that's not how I think. You've got to be able to discount your own ideas and stuff. It's the humility. It's also the reality of just like you can very much be wrong about stuff. And I have published bits and retracted it and gone on YouTube or whatever, and I've just taken it back when I've realized, oh no, there's a good portion of that was wrong or underdeveloped. Since then, I've done several passes of this yeah, I did. I retracted it back. Anyway, I've retracted.
I remember your channel.
Yes, I did it. I like the idea of doing a hokey, stupid thing.
I think I remember that.
But anyway, I put that on, yeah, and then I took it off because there was stuff wrong, and I regret. You go, oh my god, you kick yourself. So without this review of people looking at my stuff, I have to back that up by being more meticulous, take more time in my research, and just try and iron it out as much as possible, because I've had some kick myself moments of I've been looking at that for years and now it's appeared in front of me. What the hell, how stupid would I look if I just have to go, oh my god, suddenly there's a thing there that's just really obvious. Oh my god, what an idiot. Yeah. I've also got a framework, and the framework keeps building on, and I keep finding bits and bobs, and I keep having to reassess things, and there's lots of little technicalities that shift about and stuff, and I've been massaging it, basically, my answers over the years. Yeah, because you change things a lot, and then you start to just nudge things around, and then until they work.
So I'm simple. I don't think that the back of the book, the text part, has really anything to add.
Yeah.
I think maybe the minor images maybe in the back of the book are important. I don't necessarily think that the entries about the fair folk specifically are gonna really get us anywhere. But that with anything, we're all wrong until we're right? So I
think that there's first of all, there's just the text of the fair folk and the description of the fair folk. That's like a story element thing to itself, and you can have a quick chat about that, and that's fine with people, and say what this thing about just the literary aspect. Have a couple of minutes of that sort of thing, and then you've got there are sort of strange number sequences and stuff and things in the number codes and some of the entries and stuff, and we might just with people present, try and work out if there's any sort of weird little pattern that emerges or whatever it is. The pictures you said of, yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely sort of nods and things to the artworks and things in the images, and with more people just currently looking at a thing together, sometimes a nice thing emerges and we can write it down, and we'll collate that sort of stuff. I've got a pet theory that I want to just sprawl out, but I'll do it slowly over the weeks and stuff. Anyway, I can talk about the back of the book, and because it is pretty opaque at the moment, and
Well, without having
fun.
to force you to divulge your theory, how would that like apply though with like the Japanese version and so on? Because you know, like it was already hard enough for them to translate the verses, right? I mean,
Yeah, it
that was
conforms. It conforms.
okay.
I made sure that it conforms. Yeah. When I first got
back of the book and the Japanese stuff,
no,
because like
oh no,
because the
That's what I meant.
no, with the back of the book in the Japanese. No, I just meant the normal front of the book. Well, just the verses.
Right, I
and
meant like
lines.
like the book was printed in, for a Japanese reader. So then like if the back of the book has, some sort of like code or whatever, how do you translate that when you translate the book?
I don't
Am
know.
I saying that?
I've not seen the Japanese back of the book. Is there a Japanese? Is there that stuff in the back of the book of the Japanese?
kind of. It's not the same. The pictures are there, the names are there. Some of the names have been changed, but all their stories are just like they're not. It's not the same stories. It's not the same descriptions. It's not anywhere near. Like I don't speak Japanese, so I've never read the book in Japanese. I've gotten two conflicting descriptions of the back of the book. One, that it's a bunch of copywritten stories that the Japanese publisher already owned, that they put in the back of the book in place of the fair folk descriptions, and the second is just completely weird, made up descriptions that don't make any sense and aren't applicable to the American descriptions at all.
Okay, so well, what my inkling is that you don't actually need the back of the book, but if there's some fun or useful things that emerge in the American printing, then that's good. If we find something, that's nice. If we don't, then you've just had like a fun discussion for like, I don't know how long it would last for, half an hour, maybe 10 minutes per fair folk or something. Do 3, and then
You want to spend a half an hour talking about each fair folk?
No, 3 fair folk, 10 minutes each or something. Yeah.
I was gonna say,
I don't know.
How hard is it to be like, this one doesn't matter?
Well, that's the thing. But the analysis of the pictures and sitting together for half an hour, going, and do a proper deep dive and discussion. I think it could last about that long. If it doesn't, I mean, the first thing is to trial it and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then we can just like reduce the time or increase the fair folk or whatever. Yeah.
Graydon and Sunday have that. It's like a live collaboration group. I know Graydon's watching. Graydon, you should drop the link. I don't know if it's invite only. I probably shouldn't have said that. If it's not invite only, you should drop the link in the comments.
Again, she hasn't confirmed me doing this and stuff yet, so I think it's just on the. If I do this, it would be hopefully afternoon in the US, like because then it's not like in the middle of 3 a.m. for me. If it's like evening or nighttime for me, that's fine. That's the thing with the time difference.
There for you?
No, it would be at the moment. It's 2:30 a.m. Yeah, wow. That's all right because I've exactly So I do stay up sort of like especially sometimes.
Trying to go back over.
But that's because.
Simon, you got a couple of comments. James Watson said, to you specifically, you won't look stupid if you post for comments. I'm thinking he's talking about your ideas. That's how we grow. I look at my early theories compared to what I've done now and think, egads. It's a good point. Like, even if you're still working out your ideas, bouncing them off people is probably the most helpful way to work through them, because it helps you avoid that confirmation bias that you obviously don't want. Like,
yes.
I think it's like, it's all about like how you say it too. Like if there's certain things people like, the way that they approach it or the way that they present it, that just invites, I don't know, invites conflict almost. Like, instead of just coming at it like, look, I had this idea, I'm curious what y'all think, you know, and then people don't get so like, whenever you approach, you know, present it like that.
Well, I think like, so we live in tourist areas, right? You and I, Ashley, we live in tourist areas. So we see how tourists act, right? And when tourists come into our town, they act like, because they've taken time out of their lives and made and planned for this trip, that everyone else should sort of not cater, but cater around them. Like this is their special time. And I feel like Facebook has that effect on people where people feel like, because this is my account and I've spent so much time on my account, that I'm the important person here and that everyone else should cater to the way I feel and towards my ideas. And they forget that that's applicable to everyone in the group. Like it's everyone's thing. When people forget that, they tend to be rude and not realize they're being rude. And that's what invites the conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like you see it with tourists all the time, where they're just like, they'll cut in line or they're being rude, but they don't realize it because they're on vacation, you know? Where you don't realize that everybody else is out here just trying to live our lives, and we deserve respect or whatever too.
Yeah, I mean, or like the opposite, where like someone, you know, countering a thought or countering a point is automatically taken as some sort of dig or some sort of like, you know, like hostile like thing, and it doesn't. It's not always, you know. Like to me, like if you're gonna post it, like you post with the understanding of knowing that like if you don't want people to like say anything, like say so. Like if you don't want people's input, like say so. But like just the act of posting to me is like, okay, if you're gonna post it, you're also, you know, either inviting some sort of like counter argument or like people who know more. Like I always like want people who know more than me to tell me when something's wrong. Like I do that all the time with Travis.
Yeah.
Like Travis, like, you know, I'll say like, hey, what do you think about this? And then he'll be like, and he'll give me 8 reasons as to why I'm wrong. But I know when I message him that I'm doing so knowing that he knows more than me and that he's going to tell me, right? I'm not messaging him, asking his opinion on something because he's going to say, oh, that's great. Because he like literally almost never does. He never does.
But Travis, like you know Travis well enough to know that his criticism's coming from a place of like respect and sort of teamwork, right? Where most people don't know Travis that well, and Travis comes across as a dick. You know, so like one thing is when you make those comments and you're getting responses, I think another helpful thing is just like pretend that those responses are coming from a place of respect and teamwork. You know, even if they maybe don't sound like it, things get lost in translation on the internet. Like Travis, sometimes he sounds like a dick, but he's not going to be a dick. That's just the way he sounds. He's very respectful, you know? And there's a lot of
Travis is like very analytical too, so like he's gonna like he's gonna list all the reasons as to why he thinks this is either right or wrong or whatever, and he's not doing it to be mean or rude. He's just telling you the information that he has in his head, which is a lot of information.
A lot of the conflicts I see on the internet are people that are just taking something the wrong way, you know. So I always say, just like when you're getting a comment, just like at least just pretend that it's, you know, it's probably coming from, even if it sounds like the person's being a dick, it's probably coming from a place of teamwork. Otherwise, they just wouldn't have commented.
I have seen someone be abrasive towards me, and then I've responded, typed ready to respond, and then I think my PC miraculously needed a reset, which is rare these days in these Windows 10 days. Yeah, I had to reset the PC and come back to it. And then they'd modified their posts. Yeah, so they were too mean, and they edited it back. So I was like, oh.
I think Aldor.
Some people are just dicks. I mean, some people are, and we won't say who, but you know, some people are just. But I mean,
I think Aldar Book just called me an asshole because he was like in the comments. He was like, George does that. And then in a separate comment, he's like, a lot.
A lot.
Well, and that's my thing. Like you were saying, Ashley, when I first came on this, I went to like veterans for their knowledge because I knew like I could read whatever. I could read all of the posts, but I would never get the kind of knowledge that's in their head, you know? So I went to them for their opinions. And I got straight, direct answers like, yes, you're right. Yes, you're wrong. Or no, you're wrong, whatever. So I approach things that way too. I feel like if you're asking a question, you want the answer. You don't want me to hold your hand. So I give you the answer. Sometimes you like it. Sometimes you don't. But it comes from a place of respect and teamwork.
I do remember reading some of the Q4T posts and stuff back a couple of years ago. And it was like somebody saying the word solve and then someone saying, leave these forums. And you go, whoa.
There was a bad time after Expedition Unknown on Quest for Treasure. Because like before Expedition Unknown, it was basically like a family of friends that had been friends for years, and then a couple of people that were kind of trolls. But after Expedition Unknown, it was like trolls invaded. It was crazy, and they didn't put up with it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think also the thing is, if you go on camera and you put your case on verbally, and you can see my face, and you can see I'm people being earnest. It's a bit warmer. It's a bit nicer than cold posting with the individuation, behind.
Yeah.
Where things get lost in the sort of like the mood. You can see, we're having fun.
Yeah, it's always better to have.
That's why
these kind of conversations are always better than just text. Like, because you can see people's intentions. You can see, like, if I say something smart ass about one of your theories, you can see it's a joke, right?
Yes,
where you can't see that via text. Like, you can see I'm just teasing. I don't know.
I will say one thing. Recently, I heard some sort of thing about Zoom meetings and stuff in general, is that they're actually quite stressful. Generally, these video things, they can be stressful after a period of time. Something like after 30 to 40 minutes, anxiety chemicals start to kick into people, and it's the fact that you've got like people's faces, people's faces, and usually close to you all the time, and also it's just that's stressful to see people's faces all the time up close, and also having yourself on camera and your appearance and stuff, and it affects women a bit more.
Ashley, are you nervous right now?
They're like, just because they're
why?
She's like, no, I wasn't even paying attention.
A subconscious thing of like of being on camera.
Are you talking about because my face is red? Because
no,
not specifically. No, I'm just saying just generally.
It's not
this trend of
I was
like.
sending the link to Caroline. She wants to join.
Let her join. It's in the hardcore thing. See,
I just sent
Simon,
it to her personally.
In order to fix that for yourself, what you need is a giant cup of rum and some sort of fruit juice. And for the thing about staring at a face, you just get a blue light. Get the awesome blue light. People can look at that whenever they want. It's right there. And then they don't have to stare at your face anymore.
Blue light isn't good.
Brad's,
it's not good.
It's amazing.
No, not at nighttime.
What color should we change it to, Simon?
Blue light affects your circadian rhythms. Blue light is like the light that comes in your
cicada is awesome.
In daytime, and it wakes up your brain. And in nighttime, you want warm lighting. You want like the yellow lighting sort of thing. Yeah, that's at nighttime, so that your brain has a chance to sleep. And just wind down. And looking at phones and active matrix screens is bad.
Did you just,
especially before nighttime?
Did you just say cicada is awesome?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
It's a puzzle.
The cicada puzzle from
yeah. Cicada's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's hard. Did you do cicada?
I don't really think I was quite elite enough to do cicada, but I know what it is.
Oh.
I know that it was
tricky.
Did anyone do Maranatha?
I mean, parts of it are still unsolved, correct? Like.
Yeah, the main. So cicada kind of ended every year, but it ended in a way to where the people could continue or new people could come in. But yeah, they released a book called Liber Primus, which was like, I forget how many pages. It was like 50 pages or something. I don't remember. And only like 2 of them have been decoded. And yeah, it's been years.
I mean, if I did work on cicada, I probably wouldn't say that out loud on Okay.
Cicada's nice. The guy that does Robert, I can't remember his last name. He does Live from the Code Bar, and he and I recorded an episode for Live from the Code Bar that never came out. It was like his last episode. It never came out, and it was about like cicada and the numbers puzzles on Reddit and A858 stuff like that. Some of the old Reddit super hard puzzles.
Super hard.
Yeah. Caroline's here.
I wonder
She's
if we.
just
I wonder if
quiet.
we can. I wonder.
Hi,
Wait,
y'all.
I didn't even see you. You're
Not
being
quiet
so
anymore.
quiet. I wonder if we could get the cicada people to solve the secret for us. Maybe.
If you get them together.
I bet you Travis worked on the cicada puzzle.
It looks like Chris Woodford has been working on Liber Primus pages 18 through 13 for a while. Continue, please. I would like to know what they say.
Yeah.
I missed
Probably
like the
just
last
some
5
crap.
minutes.
It's probably like a recipe for cake. It's gonna kill me when somebody finally decodes Liber Primus and it's just some bullshit. It's like some dude's arachno like thesis on security or something. It's gonna kill me.
So Caroline, do you have any thoughts on the nudge? We were talking about the nudge.
I mean, I just think it's supposed to make us think more than we're already overthinking about the goddamn puzzle. Like, right? Like 40 years and like we're all into this and we like go down rabbit holes and then all of a sudden it's a bunch of dancing people and then it's like subtract and minus. But I like that. I like the plus sign and the minus sign because I think that we always thought it, or some of us thought it as like a baseball, the minus one. If
There's a
the
cat
minus
behind
one,
you.
if you will.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's my boy.
Is that the one with 3 legs? No.
No, she's somewhere.
Sorry, you were talking about baseballs.
No, like I think like we kind of all interpreted it as like being a baseball or a basketball, and then now that we can kind of look at it as a minus and a plus.
I mean, it's like.
No,
Yeah.
I get what you mean. I remember now. It's because it's like vertical. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that was like my biggest thing was that like, wow, like this can really be something totally different, which again blows my mind about JJP because if he's gonna do like weights and measurements and then hide a plus sign as like a sign of armor, you know, like a thing, and then put it in the armor, and then we think it's like a baseball, but it's really supposed to be a plus and a minus sign. I
Is it
just
not-
don't think
Is it
I
not
just
also
don't think
a
any of
baseball?
us are as brilliant as JJP thinks we are or could be.
Is it not always also a baseball?
I mean, it could be more
'Cause
than one thing.
It can be because I think because I remember now. Yeah, I think it's because it's due to the like I'll bring it out again. But you've got the sort of the hat, a cap, your hat. Yeah.
We're wearing
Oh
funny
yeah,
hats.
which it's not.
I
It's
got
not
some of
3D.
those.
I need my 3D printer broke, so I was going to put the ridge in and stuff like this and spray it gold and put the holes in and stuff. But yeah, it's the Image 3 hat. Yeah, it's 2 baseball caps that's together, isn't it? It's also
Oh,
possibly.
sorry. Go ahead.
It's 2 baseball caps together, and it is also a kind of quixotic in terms of like it's because it's like the golden helmet that is actually the dentist helmet in Don Quixote. You know, evocative of those sorts of things. You know, because it's gold and stuff. It could be many things, and the baseball because it's a baseball cap. There's like, hey, this place has a strong baseball connotation, maybe.
Somebody wanted you to explain, Graydon Kramer wanted you to explain the lat and longitude thing again because he thought the longitude and latitude could be both positive and negative.
Yeah, they can. In North America, where the secret is, yeah, the latitude is in and above the equator. So if you click on anywhere in North America, yeah, you'll the first number will be just the normal positive number, yeah, normal number, yeah. And if you're anywhere left of the Greenwich meridian in England, yeah, that's negative because you're west of the meridian. If you're east of the meridian, it's positive, I believe. This is school knowledge. I may have got it wrong. I hope not. I think it's right.
So I think you're right. So anything in North America, the first number is positive, the second number is negative. That's what you're saying, essentially.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly, because it is so you can rule out South American stuff. Yeah, we know that though. We know the thing, but the point is that it's a reinforcement.
I don't know,
man.
man. There's some people that
time, and
there's some people that think it's in South America.
Really?
Yes.
George,
yes.
cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, like in Mexico too. Oh, there's some out there theories.
I came up with that grading theory of like how close, because as part of the scientific measurement of like how accurate I think my thing is. A, B, C, D. A is like kind of a dig spot, like a puddle size. B is like kind of like what the Chicago guys got with like they knew it was kind of around that fence post sort of area, kind of that kind of. But they were, C is like I've changed C to like being about a quarter of the park, a quarter of the park or green space. D is the you've got the right park, green space neighborhood. E is city conurbation. F is state, and G is country.
And that's as far as America.
I went. And now South America is you can go to, was it H? Yeah. So Toronto, I disagree with Toronto being one of them. What was the guy who thought Toronto? What was that?
I have no idea.
I think it was I can't remember which cask you thought it was. If you thought it was the one, say, that people think is Montreal, then you'd be in the right country. But if it's not, if it's one of the other ones, then he was like the worst score that I could give, which was the G. Yeah.
I don't know
if he was one of the Americans.
But now
there's a H. Yeah, moon was planetary body. He did go to continent, and then which is H, and then it was I would be planetary body. J was solar system, and I forget the other ones. There's like local group and all that kind of stuff.
So we have 9 minutes left before Rachel.
I didn't want to keep. George, I'm going to cut you off for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's, and nothing against Simon, but as he was listening that off, it made me hear that A, B, C, D, E, F, U song.
Yeah. That's a great song.
I have
your mom and your sister and your broke-ass car.
I have positives and negatives as well. You can go plus or minus on the letters, because if you think that you've got like, it's kind of here, but you're a bit more sure, then you can go B plus. Plus and minus.
Create a system where we call it the Simon grading system. So like, what grade would Simon give it?
Well, the thing is,
Go ahead.
Oh, go on.
No, I was gonna say I have time that I can actually. Because I'm slow at work, so I actually have time to where I can put together some sort of spreadsheet with the world books and go from state to city to thing if you guys want me to.
I'll tell you what, if you can take pictures that are like good pictures without major shadows and flashes and stuff of all of the relevant entries for each city, I'll put them on 12 Treasures. Because that's something, as soon as I got these books, I wanted to do, and I just haven't had time. And I think it's like an important thing to do.
The problem I have with it is when I try to take pictures of it, it's like very glary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's glossy paper, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta like find a table and make it flat and get it away from direct light. It's hard, and that's why I don't have time. But if you have time and you want to, if anybody wants to take pictures of these, I'll send them to me and I'll put them on 12 Treasures. Photos or scans. Troy asked for photos or scans. Either. Because I feel like the community's losing out not having these.
If somebody has like a, okay, can somebody look this up specifically? Other than the obvious, like the cities and stuff. I could do that. It's just, I run out of like things in my head to like like look up, you know? So
Yeah, like
people,
I saw somebody post that was like, can you check your world books for zodiacs? And I was like, well, there's 12 zodiacs, so can you be more specific? Like,
All
I
of
don't
them.
have 3 hours to look up zodiac and every 12 zodiac. Like, be specific, and I'll go get my book and I'll I'll send you a picture. You know what I mean?
yeah, like Adrian asked me, can you look up like Shakespeare and Rebus, like to see if there was anything, and I could definitively look that up and say I didn't find anything on that. But, you know, other than like I can't like I tried to take pictures of the whole Shakespeare section, but it's like really big. So it's kind of hard.
One of these days, I'm just gonna get a book scanner. Like, this community needs a book scanner, and one day I'm just gonna buy one or build one.
You don't have time to do anything. You're gonna.
Dude, you have no idea.
Well, I mean, and especially since like you can't
27
go to
books.
you can't go to the library and get an 80s world book,
Right.
right? I mean, you can't. Like, so unless you buy the whole set, you're kind of
What's
You're
funny
screwed.
is I got my set for $40 on Facebook Marketplace.
yeah.
That's a good place
People
to
are
get
selling
them.
Like I just like looked it up, and it was like they were like selling it because their parents died, and they were like, what am I going to do with this? And I was like, I will take it off your hands, deliver it to me, I'll give you $20 cash for that, thank you so much.
I would definitely suggest, if you're gonna purchase one though, like to get, if you can, the research guide that goes with it, because it is super helpful. Um, like more than the dictionaries, I feel like have been for me, because the dictionaries are basically like just dictionaries, but the research guide that goes with it, it's kind of like a master like index for all the
Yeah, where you
volumes. Yeah.
I was going to say I bought a Manhattan Yellow Pages for 83, 84, because that was the closest I can get to like 82. If anyone wants Yellow Pages for anyone wants like a lookup for the Yellow Pages in the Manhattan area, who's searching the Manhattan thing, then just give me a message and I'll look stuff up for you.
Everybody's just gonna be like, "Where did Byron live in '83?"
Oh yeah, well yeah, everyone knows that.
Well, why, like,
And where
let
did he
me
live?
ask, what made you want that? Like, what were you looking for in that?
I wanted to check that certain businesses existed at that time, because you don't. It's 40 years is a long time, but some businesses have been there in the same place for 40 years. A weird coincidence. A couple of weird coincidences happened where I went looking. I think I posted. I looked for the Ghostbusters address just on the off chance. I knew that it
The
wouldn't be
hook and
there. I
ladder?
knew it wouldn't be there. It was a bit earlier. No, it's not there. But on the same page there was a little cartoon of a person digging, saying, "Don't dig up, don't dig up stuff." This like the telephone people saying,
Wait,
"Yeah, be careful about."
Are you talking about their fire station, the hook and ladder?
No, actually, no. I just wanted to see if there was actually like some sort of weird Ghostbusters ad or something. If someone had registered it or something. It's a bit too early, I think, and also they didn't do that stuff back then. Not really. But I just thought I'll just have a look to see and there was this weird cartoon, and the other one was there's a Bank of Ireland, New York, which is a meme out there, and I wanted to find out where the Bank of Ireland, New York was, because there's like an advert from the 70s that's ace, and you can look that up. It's got a nice musical thing, and it's about the Bank of Ireland in New York.
Gabby wants to know if you looked up Dickens as a business name.
Dickens. Oh, that's I could live that.
I'm curious.
Of course, he
Area
has it right in front of him.
And were they still like 917 and 212?
Area
Or
codes?
Sorry, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Let me just text document.
Yep. Like for a phone.
Yeah.
Hang on, so hang on, let me just write this down. Dickens as a business. It's a huge file, and it takes ages for me to look stuff up. So
you don't have the physical book. You just have access to
as a
it.
PDF. It was you could get it as yeah. So I got someone to buy it for me, and I gave them the money. Paper. So Dickens is a business, and who was that? Who said that?
Gabby.
Abby. Okay, and what was you saying, Caroline?
I was asking what the area codes were in the 80s. Like, were they still 917? Were they 212? Before
917 212 area codes in the 80s. I don't know. I could look it up, find out. That's all. I don't memorize this stuff, so
that's when
I don't know the phone numbers.
Started
thinking of like that Muppets episode where like Miss Piggy's like it's like what Simon's doing.
Is that an insult?
No, it just made me think of it.
Which Muppets are we?
Or wait,
We're going now. We need to know now who's which. We're four windows. We're in. It's the Muppet Show. It's the intro where we're all in the booths. Which Muppets are?
It was either I don't know. I just have
Could
it
I
like
be
memory
Rolf?
of
I
that.
really want to be Rolf.
Maybe Rolf. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think possibly Janice for Ashley. She was the musicians with Dr. Goldtooth.
Janice. I gotta look this up.
just being like Penelope from the killer show. What was it?
Oh my god! I just looked up Janice from the Muppets. Oh my god.
Is that the one with the big lips and the blonde hair?
She was like,
Did they have blonde hair?
I'm
I
just
do
gonna-
remember. Well, they are Muppets. They all technically have, you know.
This is riveting
Oh my
secret
God.
talk.
I'm gonna have to show Jeremy that.
It's Sunday.
It's-
Day. Happy secret talk.
Yeah.
Not everybody can have a cask, but everybody can have a Muppet character that represents them. So,
But can I just say
Oh
something
my god.
yeah.
not secret related?
Sure.
So, I think most of us, all of us, are pet owners. So
Simon doesn't
tomorrow,
have a pet.
I heard a pet. Tomorrow, everybody should donate $5 to their local animal rescue for Betty White's 100th birthday. And I think it's going to be like the sickest thing. It's $5. You pay that for a cup of coffee. So I think all of us should do that, like as a community. And I think it would be really awesome.
That would be cool. Me and Caroline tried to donate $200 to some animal charity to get Johnny Windex to come on this stream, but he hates animals. So if Johnny Windex, every time Johnny Windex reminds you to use the search function, remind him that he hates animals.
I used to, when I had more money, donate to the wildlife charities. You know, the proper not pets but wildlife,
Like WWF.
That sort of thing. Yeah, because they're up against humans. Was my thinking, and humans are terrible and very efficient at outclassing them. So they need all the help they get, I think, really.
I think it'd be a nice thing, though. I think it's going to be like a huge thing, and I'm just bringing it up, like, not to be I'm selling shit or anything. I'm not going to make a profit off it, but I just think it'd be a cool thing to do. I love Fat Elvis. And how's 50 doing?
He's all right. He's calmed down.
Has he?
Yeah. So Ashley just sent me a picture of Janice. It's basically Ashley.
I did that from memory.
Oh my god.
That was good. That was awesome.
I once went to a talk, very quickly. I once went to a talk where somebody was giving, and this is fair folk related. It was a woman who's an expert on like myths and folklores and creatures and all these sorts of stuff. And she's like, proper academic, does books on these things. And she was talking about the different types of like vampire in this thing. And there was one of the things of like the tropes of vampires is that you get certain ones from like Eastern Europe or all these other countries, and some of them liked to like what people would do to stop them is they would drop stones, and then the vampires would actually just pick up the stones as a sort of distraction. So that was a way to get away from them and stuff like that. And I pointed out, so that I've heard of this, you know, I went up in the interim, I went, I've heard of this type of vampire, and I showed a picture of it, and it was the Count from Sesame Street. Because if you think about it, yeah, it's the Count. He loves the Count. He, you know.
I heard a joke once. There are all these like vampire stories. They all happen in like Victorian England or wherever, and none of them ever happen in Africa. Do you know why they never happen in Africa? Because they bless the rains down in Africa.
Mm.
The holy water. It's a dad joke.
Oh.
Anyway.
You had to say that. I didn't get it right at first.
A priest visited my cousin's house. She lives next door, and like he blessed some holy water and stuff. And husband didn't realize he'd done this, and like he took the water and he tipped it down the sink, just clearing stuff away. And then he found out, and he was like, "Oh."
So we are 5 minutes past 10. So we are done unless anybody wants to say anything else.
There's your three-legged cat.
Oh, I got the three-legged cat. That's awesome.
If people want to post their opinions about my latitude, longitude reinforcement theory in the thingy thread, then quote my name or put hashtag treasure bloke, capital T, capital B.
That's the YouTube name.
What's his YouTube name?
Treasure bloke.
Treasure bloke, yeah.
Because I remember, like, you used to have YouTube videos, and I would watch them, but I was like, it's so irritating because you can only see the top of his head. Because your YouTube videos, you were like way down here, and you can only see the top of your, like this part of your head.
I had a laptop, and it was a very old laptop, and it was pretty bad. Yeah, those ideas have been revised since then, and they've got taken down because I was embarrassed by them. There you go.
All right,
that's my fear to publish. Anyway.
It was a really good idea. I hope people comment on it and talk about it.
Okay.
So, all right, we're out. Thanks, guys, for a fun Sunday fun day. I'm going to end the live stream now. Okay, we're done. Thank you, everybody. Seriously, you made my night.